Hi there, welcome back to our series on how you can host brunch at home. If you're new here, my name is Ebo. I'm a chef and a food stylist. Been a chef for about 10 years and I started to specialize in brunch and canopy catering in 2020. And now I started to host brunch in my own home about a year ago. And I've come to share with you all the things I've learned and how you can do the same too. So, how do you host an elegant brunch at home? I'm going to give you 10 simple tips on all the things I've learned so far. First, decide what your intention is. This anchors everything that you're doing and how much effort you're going to put into it, how simple or how elevated you're going to eventually let it be. So personally for me, I started brunch because I was new in the country and I was starting out my business in brunch and canopies as I had previously done in my home country. Of course, no one knew who I was, and I was working a job which was nice but wasn't very challenging. So I wanted to do something to challenge myself in line of what I already had a very, very good skill at. And so brunch was it for me. I knew that it was so common to do supper clubs and all that, but brunch was my thing. So I decided that I will do the same thing. So that was why I started my brunch club. If you're starting your brunch club and you don't have a strong background in making brunch or brunch catering, or you're not a food business owner, it's so important for you to try to not compare yourself to my chapter and just pace yourself in a way that you can eventually improve, right? So I started it because I wanted to challenge myself. So if you're looking at the menus and they look complicated, that is simply because I already have that basic knowledge. And so I needed to push myself a bit further to do something more elevated and more beautiful. Now, if you want to do something exactly same or similar, the trick is to make sure that you still get those things, but you don't have to make them from scratch. For example, I used to make my lemon sorbets, like my every component of my dish. I used to make everything from scratch. However, you don't have to do the same. You can buy the things from a very good store with a very good quality. You can also get them from artisans or local artisans who make similar things that are good quality. You can always make sure you get a nice quality and it'll feel exactly the same. Number two is to choose a concept or a theme. Now, you can see that I've said it in two different ways. Sometimes a theme is not necessarily a concept, and they're quite different in very simple ways. So you can decide that, oh, this concept in my head, I want it to play out exactly like this. Sometimes it's not a theme that's known. Sometimes it's not exactly like, oh, this is the butterfly theme like I did, or a Harry Potter theme. You can actually think about a concept that interests you, something that interests you. For example, if you love flowers, you can decide to host a brunch that is centered around your love for flowers, especially if you have friends or acquaintances, close acquaintances that like similar things. Then it's so easy for you to decide what you want to do, and then you guys can come together and do something very nice around that concept. So choosing a concept helps you, it guides you to know what you want to do, and it gives you a very nice round knowledge on everything else that you're putting together. Number three, this part is very important. If you're hosting people or having people over, consider how many people you want to have in your space and then how you're going to fund it. Now, there's so many ways you can fund your brunch club. One, if you have the finance, if you have the money to have people over, or you're celebrating something special and you want to use that opportunity to invite people over, 100% go for it. The whole thing can ride on your own finances and you can do it that way. Now, if you have few close acquaintances that have the same, they love what you're doing, they want to be a part of it, you can do a money purse. So what I mean by that is that you can open a money purse and decide, okay, this is what we want to do, this is the budget for what we want to do, and we're 10 of us. Everyone should contribute X amount towards what we want to do, and everybody puts their money in that purse. And at the end of the day, we decide who is hosting and who is doing it. And then if it's you, clearly, if you're the brunch host, then you can, have that money in that one pot, and then you can use the money to do everything you need to do. Alternatively, if you're like more established and people already know you with the same concept, then you can create tickets. I wanted my brunch club to be very exclusive, because I needed to curate a lot of things. I needed people that understood the food, because I was making things that were not just very basic. So I didn't want random people that don't have love for food or understand food, or people who didn't necessarily want to explore or had like explorative minds. I knew that they'll be thrown off by the food, or they'll complain about the complexity of what I was bringing to the table. So I intentionally handpicked the people that I know that they shared my similar love for food and that understand really nice, elevated gourmet food. So it was easy for me to serve whatever I was serving, and they'll understand and try it. Even if they've not had it before, they will try it because they had explorative minds. All I did was that I'll just create tickets, make it private, and then I'll just send them the tickets or the payment links, and then they will pay to the payment link whenever they're ready, just before the brunch actually holds. However, it's not 100% the ticket prices that power the brunch. At the beginning especially, I still powered most of it with my own personal fund, because I had a way I wanted it to look in my head, and I knew that for me to do it that way, I needed more people that would come. However, I didn't want so many people in my space, so I had to sacrifice and make that compromise of, since I'm not having a lot of people, I'll pay for some of the things, and then the tickets will cover for the rest of the things that I needed to do. So you can do that as well. Now, number 4 is to curate the menu. Decide what you're having, what we're cooking, what are we making. It's so important that your core concept is in the main focus when you're creating the menu. So if you've seen a few of my brunch club videos in the past, you'll see that I will choose a theme, and then the food will be in very, very close alignment with what the theme is about. So if I'm doing a tea party, then I'm serving tea treats, I'm serving afternoon tea. If I'm doing a Asian themed event, I'm serving items from China, from Thailand, from Vietnam, in the same brunch. I'm wrapping the menu around the concept. So that's what you can do as well. So I decided that I was going to serve 4 to 5 courses for my brunch clubs, which is starter, first course, main, palate cleanser, then maybe 1 or 2 desserts. Now, because I am the E in extra, number 1. Secondly, I'm doing this to challenge myself. So even though it might look like a lot of work, to me, it's not that stressful. So you don't have to do the same thing, but then you can, if you want to. You can start with 3 courses. If you want to do the same elevated, I'll start with something simple for starter, have 1 main or 2, or let people be able to choose between this or that, and then have you can buy a nice, a dessert. You can buy a very good quality cake from a store. You can buy maybe ice cream and just plate it nicely. Nobody's gonna ask. You can print your menu, and then I like to print my menu because it just looks so nice on the table, and people know what they're having. Now, it's not 100% compulsory that you do the same thing. You can simply just explain and tell them what they're having each time you bring something to the table. And that takes me to the next point. Decide on your service style and tablescape. Now, so there's so many service styles. The most popular are plated, family style, we have butler style, we have buffet or grazing. So you decide on what your service style is depending on what you want to host. So for my Mother's Day brunch, I did a small buffet or like a grazing table for them to pick and choose what they wanted to have, because I wanted to also enjoy Mother's Day I didn't want to perform. I didn't want to plate any dishes. I wanted it to be relaxed as well. So if you're serving 3 courses, you want to, and you're having 6 people over, you need 6 times 3 dishes, different kinds that you're using to serve your starter, main, and dessert. If you're serving more, the more the courses, the more the dishes you're going to need. If you're serving family style, all you need to do is to make the food in nice big service style, is it casserole bowls or nice bowls that you can put on the table, or you can even use pots, as long as they're like Dutch ovens or very good quality pots. And then all you need to do is to have like a marble top, and then you put the marble top on the dining table, and then put the pots on top of the marble top. That way you can just relax and enjoy your evening, and everyone can just help themselves and pass the cups and pass the bowls around the table, and everyone can help themselves to what they want. Next is keep guest experience top of mind. What this means is that think about the people that are coming into your space. Personally, I profile the people that are coming into my space just the same way I'll profile my clients if I'm having events. It helps me to know what I'm serving, why I'm not serving certain kinds of food, because I already know the kind of people that are coming, because I want everybody to be able to eat what I've made. So I will profile my clients and I will profile my guests so that everyone is having a nice time and nobody's feeling left out or awkward. Create an experience for them to want to come back to. So I would create a scent, like a signature scent that matches what I want to do. So when I was hosting a trip to Asia, I did a fruit bowl with moss, green fruits and moss in a very large dish, and then I put a sandalwood candle in the middle because I wanted that candle to smell. I didn't want it to look off, or I didn't want it to look very made up, but I wanted the smell to fill the room and for people to continue to smell it all through the day. So it was nice, mild and woody, and it was beautiful. It just complemented the whole thing. Next up, I will most likely just curate a playlist on my YouTube music, and then allow the music to play on low while people chatted over the music. And also I will think about what they'll need. So for example, if I know people go to the bathroom, I'll try to make sure that everything they need is there and make sure it's nice and tidied up and cleaned and ready for the guests. Also, if I need to make say maybe it's the winter season, I'll try to get somewhere where people can put their coats off, just to make everyone feel special and make them feel like, okay, I'm getting out of the house to relax and go somewhere nice. So it's very important to put it in mind to make sure that guest experience is top of mind for you. Number 7, include conversation starters. So I had to learn this later on because the only thing my head revolves around is food. So my head constantly revolves around food. So I'm thinking about food, and food. How the food is going to be amazing and how the table is going to be stunning. I'm always thinking about these things. However, it's so important to also think about, conversation starters. So I learned this from my friend Simi. Her parties are always intriguing and interesting. There's always something going on. And so I started to, put that into consideration as well. That, okay, people need to have like something to get the conversation going, whether it be an activity that they get to do with each other, or cards, question cards, or anything to just make sure that, there's conversation around the table and everyone is not just bored and waiting for the next food. Number 9, we're coming very close to the end. Prep ahead. See, the difference between a stressed host and a perfectly relaxed host is prep. As much as you can, prep ahead. I will have a day where I make the list of everything I need. On that day, I'm not shopping. So I'm not in a frenzy mode. I'm not frantic. So I'm not very likely to forget what I need. I'm taking the menu in one hand, looking at the menu and writing out a list of everything I need to make from the menu to the shopping list. So that way I'm very clear there's no way you won't omit one or two things, but the likelihood that you will miss out a lot of things is not very it's not very likely. And on the day of the shopping, you won't be rushing to quickly make a list and omit a lot of things. So on one day, and maybe in the evening when I'm relaxed, I'll make a list of my shopping and then try to put the budget on how much it will cost me to buy it on one side. And then on the next day, I will go shopping, or another time I will go shopping for the things I need. And most times try to make this like 2 days in advance or 3 days in advance, to just buy as much as your fridge or your storage can take. Write myself a prep list. Now there's to-do list and then there's prep list. So the to-do list will be create your tablescape, jump into the flower shop at 5:30 a.m., things like that. So you just put down everything you need to do in terms of like activity, and then you put down everything you need to cook in terms of the menu. So then I always paste them onto my cabinet, because it's there in my face. I can see it. No errors, no wasting of my time. I'm sure of what I'm doing, and once I'm doing it, I'm just taking it off, so I know I'm nice and prepared. If you have your way, create a tablescape a night before. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes, because of children, they can decide to just have a nice breakfast on my scape, which I don't want. So I will just create the tablescape in the morning of my events. So it's so important that the tablescape is done well ahead, in the day or late in the night, so that you're not frantic, you're not rushing, you're not putting the napkins when guests are coming in. Last but not the least, at this one, I was sitting so nicely on this table because, like I said before, my head revolves around food, and more food. So I'm not thinking about those other things. But of course, I have friends that also think about those other things, and they constantly say, so what are we wearing? Oh, what's everyone wearing? What are we doing? So I had to start learning that it is so important to guide your guests on their outfits and be dressed before your guests arrive. That's my final number 10. I always just wrap myself up in cooking. Always have my husband chasing me out of the kitchen to go and get dressed before my guests come, because I just want everything to be shape. And then I forget that, okay, I don't want people walking on into my house while I'm still like half ready or not dressed. Not very nice. Remember to guide people on what you're wearing. It just helps the whole thing to look very nice. Everyone is prepared. So if you're having a something that's like very like an elegant black tie-ish event, you want to tell people what you would like them to wear. Because trust me, a lot of people also have that decision paralysis of, what do I now wear now? I don't know, I'm not sure. You've helped them out by deciding what everyone else is putting together, so then they know what they're doing and everyone is ready and everybody comes correct. Now, one bonus and final tip is, remember to relax. Trust me, they are not gonna know even when you make errors. Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. How will they know? You are the one who knows every single thing that you plan, from the concept to the menu to the tablescape to ambience and lights and the music. So if something is slightly out of place, don't let it wind you up. Don't let it stress you up. Don't let it make you feel like, oh, this is so horrible. This isn't good. Don't worry about it. It will all work out and nobody's going to complain. Everybody's going to appreciate the fact that you made time to gather them and you fed them and help them to unwind and relax and have a nice time. Okay, and if you have those kind of like critical people who are like very picky and watching everything you do, and they have something to say and complain about everything you've put together, I think you shouldn't invite them back into your space. These are my very, very little tips. Remember to come back every single Saturday at 11 a.m. British time, I'm going to be sharing more and more and more. From next week, we're going to start talking very specifically on the brunches I hosted last year. So what I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to break it down, not just about how I arrange the props and everything. I'm going to explain to you the concept behind it and how I brought everything together in terms of concept, menu, food, seating arrangements, service style, and I'm just going to build up on every other thing that I've told you in the past and I've shown you today. All right, my lovelies, if you've loved this video so far, make sure you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Remember that subscribing gives me a nice motivation to carry on coming back and giving you so much of myself and my knowledge and sharing with you every other week. So if you watched this video all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next week. Bye bye.